I'm here at the Mineral and Material Sciences building at Michigan Tech. I'm about to go into the Foundry here, where it can get a little bit hot sometimes, and I think that's a good idea because it's kind of cold and snowy out here. So come on in with me. I hear that they have a real hot oven called the Speedy Melt. Let's go check it out. Now this is some fire. This is the Speedy Melt, and it heats up to about 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's about twice as hot as the average cremation oven. Here at the Foundry at Michigan Tech's Mineral and Material Sciences building, the Speedy Melt is used to melt down materials in order to turn them into other kinds of shapes. But in Daniel chapter 3, fire was used as a death penalty. Even though in Daniel chapter 2, we heard that Nebuchadnezzar, he said that God was the God of gods and the Lord of kings. Well, he didn't really seem to learn his lesson, because here in Daniel chapter 3, Nebuchadnezzar builds a large statue, and he says that everyone has to bow down and worship him. And if they don't bow down and worship that statue, well, guess what? They're thrown into the fiery furnace. Well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they are no longer in the backstage of this story. They're now main characters, and they won't bow down and worship this statue. So some men come and tell the king these guys won't bow down. Well, this infuriates Nebuchadnezzar. So instead of just having the fire regular hot, he says, let's crank that bad boy up. And it's so hot that the people throwing Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fire, they die. But as Nebuchadnezzar's watching, nothing is happening to these three men as they're in the fire. And as Nebuchadnezzar looks in, it actually seems to him as though there's a fourth character in the fire. Nebuchadnezzar says, that looks like an angel. Well, they're brought out of the fire. And as they're brought out of the fire, guess what? Nothing. Their clothes, their hair, nothing is singed, nothing is burned. Can you believe it? This reminds me of another Bible passage from Isaiah chapter 43, verse 7, which says this: when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. Well, this is obviously not an invitation to throw yourself into the Speedy Melt. Not at all. This is a reminder to us that we will face difficulties. We will face struggles. We will face all kinds of challenging circumstances in this life. Yet our God promises to be with us eternally. Fire, it's incredibly dangerous, but it's also incredibly practical. Just like with this Speedy Melt, as it forges, as that metal is forged through flames, so too you and I, through the difficulties of life, are formed and shaped by God. And what we will also learn is that in the way that we go through these difficulties in life, we also bear witness to the one who is with us. And that's also what we see happen to Nebuchadnezzar in this story as well. Again, he learns that God is God of gods and Lord of kings. I pray that you enjoy your rest of your time now together as you share, read, talk, pray, and bless.